Greetings and salutations, Jay here. And for this particular video, it had been requested by none other than Kyle G. Unit. This individual I've known for a long time. And so he's been a Star Wars buddy for quite some time. And so he requested this one, and I'm going to go right into it. It is, first I'm going to do a Star Wars Rebels review, and I know I'm late in the game. It's been like, I think it was, March when they ended it, so it's been like a month and like a half or whatever, so sorry, I'm late. So it's a Star Wars Rebels review, and then I'm going to go into a Star Wars Rebels compare and contrast with Clone Wars. So to start things off, Star Wars Rebels. Overall, I enjoyed the series. It started off a little slow. You kind of get like the establishment with the characters. Ezra is pretty much Aladdin, and he meets the others. And they start off with kind of small things, small scale things, like around the planet of Lothal, and they do all that. And eventually into the second season, that's when you have kind of the bigger picture things where they, you find out Fulcrum is Ahsoka, which mad props to Dave Filoni. That was an awesome move, bringing Ahsoka back. It really made the series awesome, and she's such a great character, and I've seen a bunch of videos and stuff, and it's definitely true, like, throughout the Clone Wars series, and then you see her as an adult, so to speak, in Rebels, and, she takes on that leadership, and also you get to see Rex and the others, in the second season also, I believe. So, in my humble opinion, the first season kind of started off a little slow. Then the second season was really when it started cranking up. And in my humble opinion, the season finale for the second season, where you had Ezra, Kanan, Ahsoka going to Malachor, and you run into Maul, and then at the end you have the duel with Vader and all that stuff, that was, in my humble opinion, that was the greatest of the episodes that they had. It was intense. You have Ezra tested by Maul, and I thought that was pretty clutch how they showed that, and they kind of had him being tempted by it. And then you have Kanan, he got blinded, but he stepped up to the plate, used the Force, and did what he needed to do, and that was pretty awesome. And then at the very end, you have Vader and Ahsoka, and that whole scene, it was super intense. So, I've heard other things about the holocron, like there's the female's voice. It could be, I don't know what they were trying to do with that, but you could have a bunch of people, like, from back in the day, like Darth Traya, or, what are their faces? The ones from, like, when the Dark Jedi first split and went to Korriban and stuff back at, like, 25,000 years before. I forget their names. I'd have to look real quick, but that group of, like, Dark Jedi, and who later on started the whole Sith thing. But there were a couple of female, Dark Jedi that were in charge and stuff like that. But anyway, it could have been any of those, and all that stuff. So it would have been cool to, I don't know, if Dave Filoni was like, oh yeah, I was trying to do this with it, and they're like, oh sweet. So anyway, that was pretty cool. Now season 3, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, what can they do to, like, top what they just had? And they put in Thrawn. And so, having read Timothy Zahn's, trilogy, The Heir to the Empire and all that stuff, having Thrawn in there is like, oh, so good. And one of my favorite episodes is the one on, they're on Ryloth. And you see Thrawn, talking about the Kalikori and all that stuff. Oh, it's just awesome. He's like one of those people where you're like, you almost want to root for him because he's just so awesome. So that was such a clutch episode and all that stuff. But And then going to the season finale with that one, you had the epic battle, and then the bombardment of the planet. And I'll be real, I kind of was like, nah, about the Bendu dude. He was kind of weird. I'll be real. And I know Dave Filoni's done it with Clone Wars, and he did it with Rebels, where it's like kind of the stuff where it looks into the Force and all that. But Bendu just being like this Force being that's neither, the dark side or the light side, I don't know. If something's too powerful and too obscure, I kind of get turned off by it. That's just me. So, I don't know. I was kind of meh about it, and it's whatever. So, it made it fascinating, but the battle part, the sequence and all that, that's kind of what made it pretty awesome to me. So, anywho, that's season 3. So, season 4, I'll be real, I can't really even think about that much from the beginning of the series. I know it kind of had what's her face, Sabine, going to Mandalore and doing all that stuff, and then she eventually comes back and all that stuff. But each episode, I guess it was kind of getting hyped up, and then you had Kanan's death. And I thought he went out like a boss. It was pretty cool. Come on, we all knew at least a few of the characters were going to die, or something was going to happen to them, in order for them to not be in the original trilogy or Rogue One or any of that. So, we at least knew that Chopper and Hera were going to be in Rogue One, but you don't know who else. So, it's kind of one of those things. It's inevitable. So Kanan went out like a boss. I thought it was pretty cool. He went saving his friends and all that stuff. So it was pretty clutch, and so I like that. Moving along, I did like how they had Rook, who was from the Heir to the Empire trilogy and all that stuff. So, if you read the books there, you know what role he plays in that. So. You had him doing his thing in that. So I guess where I'm going to be really critical is going into kind of the last few episodes. And the big one that kind of had me was the going into the time travel thing. And so with Star Wars and time travel, it hasn't been that much of a thing. So I know there's some of the expanded universe books that go into stuff like that. But for me, I was kind of leave time travel alone. You're getting a little too. It's a little too much. So, they had it where the Emperor was there and all that stuff, and he was trying to get the access to it or whatever. And I'm also a little meh about the whole pulling Ahsoka out of thing. From what it shows, Ahsoka was, fell through in the temple, and you most likely are led to believe that she died or something happened during her duel with Vader. And here Ezra pulls her out of that, saves her life, and then, it was cool to see her, but at the same time, I'm like, well, and then she jumps back in, and it's like, okay, well, Ezra never said, oh, hey, we'll pick you up on Malachor as soon as I'm done here. There wasn't much of that, and then it kind of just, whatever. It also had the father, the daughter, and the son type of thing, and I'm going to be real. In the Clone Wars, I wasn't too big on those particular episodes. I know in the one, they wanted to have the son, who was the dark side dude, be influenced by Revan and Darth Bane. But when you're looking at, the Force, the big picture of the Force, I don't know. You're kind of playing with some serious things. And that can change, the way you view Star Wars and stuff like that. So I'm kind of I don't know. I wasn't too big on those episodes in the Clone Wars, for me in particular. So anyway, I wasn't too big on that. And then the next thing was, what's it called? They did their little, you had the season finale thing where they took over the station and stuff, and then you had it where in the final episode, there was a couple things that I had some issues with. Rook apparently gets killed. Hello? If you're going to have Thrawn, even in the series, why are you going to kill Rook? Like, everybody... Alright, spoiler alert, in the Heir to the Empire book, Rook's the one that kills Thrawn. Alright, it's pretty ridiculous. He stabs him, alright? And you read the book and find out. I've already spoiled it. But, like, you have that. So you kind of need his character around. And then at the end, you have it where Ezra uses the Purgles, I don't remember, the whale things, and they jump to light speed, and he takes Thrawn with him on the ship, and they do the whole temptation thing with the Emperor and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, whatever, but he disappears into whatever, who knows where, with the whale critters, and Thrawn goes with him. So that alone right there, it was one of those things where they're like, okay, how can we make Ezra disappear? Because Luke's the last Jedi, but we're not killing him. And that's pretty much what they did. And it was kind of the same thing with Thrawn. But that did a little shake and bake to the expanded universe material. And that's what I didn't like. Because Thrawn was doing his thing in the unknown regions during the time of the trilogy or whatever, the original trilogy, and that's where the Heir to the Empire stuff comes into play, where, and all that. And the way I wanted to see it was Thrawn got in trouble for something. Maybe it was the station getting blown up, and then the Emperor was like, hey, you're not going to take these big assignments. I'm going to send you out in the unknown regions. You do your thing out there and all that. So that was a little disappointing. And like I said, he's in the unknown regions. We have no idea what goes on. So it's like you just changed the expanded universe canon, so to speak, or whatever, the books, the Heir to the Empire books. So I wasn't a big fan of that. And also Ezra disappearing. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the other thing is you see, like, okay, like Kanan and Hera had a kid, and I'm like, say what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, all right, they can get it on, but then they can't tell each other that they love each other when, like, the episode where he died. I'm like, for real? I don't know. Cheesy, dumb. I mean, it was a kid with green hair. I'm like, I don't even know. So, and as far as we know, I don't even think throughout the Star Wars series you had it where, like, a different alien species, made babies with a human and all that. Who's to say they didn't have tentacles coming out of their head? I don't know. Whatever. I didn't like that. I was like, come on now. Like, it took that final episode for, like, the whole love thing to come out of the woodwork, and you're telling me they were, making babies? Like, come on now. That's just, no. Anyway, last but not least, you have the scene where, like, it's after the Empire, or after Return of the Jedi, and the Death Star's blowing up and stuff, and you have, like, the characters. I was kind of like, okay, cool, like, and they made it, what was it? They made it canon that, what's it called? One of the troopers on Endor was Rex. So, I mean, yeah, it was just an old dude in the 80s when they did it, but they were able to fit the character and all that. So that's cool. They did that. Ahsoka coming out of nowhere, I don't know how I feel about that. Because it's like, Ahsoka's a cool character. Okay, she didn't die, but, where are you going to go from there? Like, what is she going to do? Help Luke with the Jedi? Or disappear? It's just, dang, like, it's almost like she would have been better off being dead. Because, and that's savage to say, but I'm just going to say it, like, what are you going to do with her character from there? And she's such a cool character, and she was able to mentor, to Ezra too, and it's like, well, come on now, like, how, why wouldn't she do the same for Luke, or like, and then when I understand the new canons with, Kylo Ren and all that crap, whatever, I don't care about any of that, but it's like, essentially what Luke is trying to do later on is set up a Jedi Academy, and it's like, Ahsoka could help with that. I don't know. So, in the end, I kind of was a little let down about Star Wars Rebels. So, it could have been better. So anyway, overall, I still enjoy the series. I think season 2 and season 3 are phenomenal, and then the other two are kind of like, yeah. So, but overall, I really enjoyed the second and third season. I think the characters are great, and I guess my slight disappointment comes from having enjoyed the series so much. So let me check what time I'm at now. Ooh, I'm doing good, but I'm gonna do another. I'll separate it.